Hey, I think we got your new demo in the can. All that resonant frequencies was able to be knocked down by the signal chain that we put together into the DAW. What does that mean? We're going to talk about it next.
News from the booth!
Welcome back to the VoiceOver Village. I'm Rick McIver, your village idiot. Today, we are going to be talking about more voiceover terms, specifically technical terms. Things that you will encounter when you are working with your software, when you're doing recording, things like that. In the intro to the video, you heard me say, hey, I think it's in the can. Well, that means it's done. That's really all it means. You'll also hear cans as headphones, but that's not the same kind of can for some reason. It comes from the old film days when actually film, when it was processed and developed and everything, and the whole thing was finished, was put into this like film canister, right? I'll probably put a picture up there. And that's called in the can. That means it's finished. A demo. A demo is something that showcases your talent. It doesn't have to be stuff that you've actually done for a client. It can be examples of things that you could do for a client. Now, a demo, to me, is a little bit different than a reel. So a reel, spelled R-E-E-L, is something that refers to content that I've actually done for a client that someone's paid me for. And I'll put together clips of things and I'll call it my reel. So an R-E-E-L, a reel, I think is a little bit different than a demo, which is something that is an example of what you could do if you were hired based in whatever genre it is you're trying to get hired for. I'm sure you will come across something called a signal. Now, a signal basically just is the source of sound that's going to be recorded. That signal could be your voice, it could be an instrument you're playing, whatever the microphone is picking up, that's the signal. And so you'll hear, I don't have enough signal strength, or I need more signal. That's what that refers to. Next is something called a DAW, D-A-W, and that stands for Digital Audio Workstation. A DAW could be everything from GarageBand to Twisted Wave to Adobe Audition to Pro Tools. A DAW allows you to record the ones and zeros that come from your interface. Now, an interface is a converter. Basically, when I speak into this microphone, it converts it into waves, but those waves are still analog. That is an electrical analog signal through my XLR cable into my interface. And that interface's job is to convert that analog signal into ones and zeros, into a digital signal that your computer can understand and then record. You might hear the term EQ, and it just means equalizer. It's short for equalizer. And if you think of an EQ as a spectrum from very low, which is 20 hertz, to very high, which is 20,000 hertz, the low end is the bassy sound, the high end is the treble-y sound, and that's really all EQ stands for. You might hear the term process or effects or chain. Basically what that is, it's referring to a series of manipulating the sound within your DAW. So if you have a recorded piece that you have spoken into the microphone, it's recorded on your DAW, you can apply certain effects to that sound wave. And you can apply more than one. You can apply a limiter, you could do a compressor on there, you can adjust the EQ so you have more bass or less bass or more mids, whatever it is. That series of effects is called a chain or a signal chain. And once that signal gets through all those effects, your recording is now processed. It is also known as wet for some reason. That is the wet signal. Dry signal is before any processing. Roll off. You might hear someone refer to, I need you to roll off the low end. That could refer to your microphone that has a little roll-off switch on it. It could be mean in your DAW, you can actually apply a high-pass filter, which means it allows the frequencies that are above a certain level to pass through. And that could mean also to roll off your low end and have a high-pass filter. Those are kind of the same thing. You might encounter something called a sympathetic vibration or a resonant frequency. You hear this a lot in rooms that are like vocal booths that aren't treated on the inside. An isolation booth will help to keep sound outside from getting inside to your microphone. But if you're talking in just a box and you haven't treated the inside of that box to absorb sound, there are some wavelengths that will bounce back and forth and create what's called a standing wave and enhance certain frequencies within that box that you're in. So that's called a resonant frequency or a standing wave, because that wave comes back and hits and is then amplified, and it sounds weird. You'll hear people say, oh, that sounds kind of boxy. That's what that means. There is a mid frequency that where the waves are coming back and meeting in the microphone is picking up that standing wave. So a sympathetic vibration is kind of like if you play an A note on the piano, that's 440 hertz, and that is a specific wave. Well, if you double that, that's the harmonic of that. And so if you play an A note, other A's on your piano strings, if you have all the little pads off, the other A's will start to vibrate as well. An octave higher or an octave lower will start to vibrate as well. And that's called a sympathetic vibration. And how that applies to voice actors is if I'm speaking and the different frequencies that are coming out of my voice hit something in the booth, or if it could be like maybe I have a coffee cup or something in the booth, and when I hit that specific frequency, this also vibrates and creates a sympathetic vibration or a resonant frequency that is picked up by the mic. And you don't want that. So that's why we treat the inside of our sound booths as best as we can. So you also hear a lot of talk about something called a noise floor. Basically what that means is that if I have my gain on my interface set at an appropriate level where I'm speaking into the mic and it picks up somewhere between -12 and -6 dB, like the waves are peaking right around there. When you stop talking and your gains are still set at the same level while you're recording, that will create a kind of a straight line, right, at a certain decibel level. That decibel level is your noise floor. The higher the number, the closer it is to zero. When I say higher, it's a negative number, so the closer it goes to zero, the higher your noise floor. The lower that decibel level, which is actually a higher negative number, I don't know why this is so complicated. It doesn't need to be, but it is. I'm so sorry. It's not my fault, but I'm doing what I can to help you. But the lower the noise floor, the higher the negative number. I know it's confusing. So if you have a -50 dB noise floor, that's going to be more noise than a -70 dB noise floor. Or if you have a -30 dB noise floor, that's going to be more ambient noise in your space than if you had a -50 dB noise floor. That's a lot of stuff to digest. If you have questions about some of the things I've covered, or if I actually screwed something up and you know better than I do, please leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. And if it has, let me know. Leave me a comment or hit that like button. That would be great. And if you want to watch some more videos all about voiceover and geeking out about YouTube and voiceover and levels and all kinds of fun stuff and microphones, check these out. These are great videos right there. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. Until next time.